The must-have service for sports fans. With in-depth, ad-free coverage of every sports story that matters, it's the gift you want in yourself and the perfect present for the sports fan in your life. This holiday season for sports fans. What's going on? Did you hear that? Anyway, this holiday season, spread the joy of better sports coverage. Give an annual subscription to The Athletic. Get one free. Now is the time to take advantage of getting your subscription and giving one free to see for yourself the creativity, reporting, storytelling, and dynamite ad reads at the beginning of podcasts that sets The Athletic apart. And if you go to theathletic.com/birdswithfriends, you can receive 2 all-access subscriptions for just the price of 1. Get unrivaled sports coverage for an unbeatable price. So go to theathletic.com/birdswithfriends. Receive 2 all-access subscriptions for just the price of 1. We hope to see you there.
To your mother, it's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just a trio of feathery brethren weathering any season to see the Eagles eating teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia, Bo, Sheil, and Zach kicking it cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some Birds with Friends. The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some Birds with Friends. Bo, Sheil, and Zach coming at you with steps and things flapping their wings on Birds with Friends.
We got time for a couple more, so we'll go to Bo, and then Jamie, and then Nick. You good, Bo? All right, let's go to Jamie first then.
Doug, why?
Can you hear me?
Oh, go ahead.
Now?
You good now?
You can't hear me?
Yes. Yes, you can. We can.
Oh, sorry. Doug, I'm curious.
That's a good one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Wednesday primetime edition of Birds with Friends, the quarterback change emergency day after pod. I am Bo Wulf, joined by Marissa Morris, Zach Berman, and Sheil Kapadia. 50% of us rocking new Birds with Friends merch. Sheil, how you doing?
Well, I know we have a lot of Eagle stuff to get to, but I have to take issue with you again here. You know, you can't stop yourself from the barbs in the postgame pod. I mean, we're on the 2nd year here, and you still don't, you have to say things like, Sheil wasn't doing anything last week. Yeah, I
said this week I said there was no reason for him to be on.
Yeah, but to remind everybody about the other host of the show. Believe me, they know who the other host of the show is. So you have to throw in the barbs about the previous week. You know nothing about my work commitments, family commitments, physical and mental health. I mean, I might have a lot of stuff going on. And so make it real simple for you. I'm not appearing on any post-game pods. When I want to post-game pod, I will let you know and I will show up. You don't need to go through this song and dance every week because you obviously can't handle it. You got to be this obnoxious little child and get your barbs in every time. And so we don't need to talk about it anymore. I'll let you know when I'm going to be on. Otherwise, assume that I won't be on.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so that's
will
first.
You then...
Second,
in return, go ahead.
No, the answer is no. 2, my deepest apologies for tweeting about Justin Jefferson's rookie receiving record. I mean, something that you had already written about. Maybe one day in your heart of hearts, you can forgive me because you were clearly the only one who could have thought, well, I want to look up Justin Jefferson's receiving yards here and see what they're like. Like everything you do, it was just amazing. It was brilliant. I'm so sorry that I didn't read every single word that you had ever written. All right.
I mean,
Eagles,
the
Zach
first
Mercer.
part of that article is that thing. It's phrased the same way.
I
think it was a little bit testatorian, and I think you should be apologetic.
No, well, your ego, yes, you with your ego, I can understand that because you think everyone reads every word that you ever write. But when I talk to you for an hour and a half on a podcast Friday, the last thing I want to do is
Zach
then go read
Marissa
your
as
7
my
articles.
friends as part of this show. That's the name of the show. If we're just birds with coworkers, and that's what it is for you, that's fine.
Well, hopefully one day you can forgive me because it was just so brilliant and no one else could have ever thought to look something up. All right, Zach, we got a lot of Eagles news today.
I'm definitely going to take the bit of tweeting your tweets further down the line. There's no way
great.
That's going to stop.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
Bills fans taking it like it's a real heartfelt tweet. It's fun. That's good stuff.
There you go. Okay. Eagles.
Zach, how you doing?
Doing great. Excited for this podcast. A lot to talk about. But I will say, in honor of Jalen Hurts starting, as we discussed, Jalen Hurts on the sideline is like outside of the Carson Wentz, Nate Sudfeld conversations. That's what Marissa and I feel like tonight. We weren't on the text where you guys arranged the color coordinated Birds with Friends new attire. That was probably the text when you were sharing some kind of inside joke, right, Marissa? So
yeah,
I think this is Bo plagiarizing my outfit. Quite frankly, is what's happening here.
I do not. You cannot pretend that tweet was not just a little bit testator.
I hadn't read your article.
Well, that's even more. It's I'll take the knife out of my back. It hurts my pride a little bit. I've got a bit of a broken heart.
All right. Which of my articles have you read today? What do you think of N'Keal Harry? You think he's a bust or not? Huh?
I do, actually.
Do you think Deshaun Watson takes too many sacks today?
Did you tweet all those out? I'm not so sure you tweeted every single one of those out.
They're all there. They're on your feed.
Okay, well. I didn't retweet them like you retweeted mine.
All right, let's go. Let's get to the Eagles stuff.
You guys, Sheil, you guys in the Kapadia
annoying little pest. Unbelievable.
You guys dip your beaks in some seitan?
No. So, Zach, Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, I thought
we've been doing seitan tacos lately. They've been pretty good.
Well, should we start with the news?
Yeah. I think that was the news, right?
Oh, today, but we haven't spoken since.
Everyone knows about.
Everyone knows Jamon Brown was cut. Everyone knows that they, that they.
I do want to get
They added Lena Hall to the.
We should do some fanfic on what you guys think Jamon Brown could have done in that Green Bay hotel.
I just got it would have cracked me up if the first question to Doug Pederson today was something, was something along the lines of so 12 personnel. Do you guys think you're going to, play more of it this week? I agree with Sheil. Everyone knows by now the Jalen Hurts news. Sheil and Bo both wrote great pieces. Bo really outlined if they were to make a trade where he could go. Sheil showed all the options for Carson Wentz this offseason. There's a lot of coverage on The Athletic right now. So, and frankly, we've reacted to it quite a bit. Bo and I had to beat back and forth. We've been talking about this for weeks, and I imagine we'll talk about it on the show. But what Sheil was alluding to was Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox both spoke to reporters today. And I don't know if showing backbone is the right word, but we're individuals, right? Like we're willing to speak their mind. Jason Kelce.
I thought it was very telling.
Yeah. Jason Kelce came out and absolutely had his quarterback's back. And it was one of those things. I don't know the mechanics of it today, but I think Jason Kelce wanted to talk because, again, we're showing how the sausage is made, but we were told that there would be no more interviews until after practice. And then we got a text that said Jason Kelce is about to speak. And maybe it was planned all along. I don't want to say Jason wanted to do that, but he was everything you could want, like a teammate to be, a leader to be, if you're another leader on the team, was outspoken about the problems with this team not being exclusive to Carson Wentz. Let me pull up some of these quotes here. But essentially he said the offense is terrible. That was True. One of the things he said. I should have had them up in front of me. I apologize.
You mentioned the coaches as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. Big time. Multiple times. He said, we feel bad. He's the sole one taking the hit right now. Obviously, the entire offense has been terrible. The offensive line, running backs, receivers, coaches, you aren't this bad unless everybody shares blame in this whole thing. Later on, he was asked about the Wentz-Hurts dynamic and whether Carson, as we've discussed, might have been affected by the Jalen Hurts pick. And within it, it was a long answer. I'm not going to tell you the whole answer, but within it, he said, this more comes down to a failure of pretty much every position, including the coaches, to facilitate a functioning offense. That's the biggest story here. Not that Jalen Hurts is picked and there's some sort of internal battle and struggle going on with Carson Wentz. He said he does not buy that. And then he was when he was asked about like why the offense is terrible, he continued basically saying like they should be able to manufacture points. I'm pulling that up here. He said, I think if everybody knew the answer to that, we would have fixed it a long time ago. I think it's complicated. He went on to talk about the injuries. He said, we just haven't gone out there and functioned well. We haven't been cohesive enough, not just as players, but structurally. I think there's a lot of different things you can look at. And whenever you're this bad, it's never just one person. It's never just one position group. It's never just players, coaches, front office. It's everybody. And that's the reality. So yeah, he was outspoken. And then Fletcher Cox in his own way, Fletcher Cox there was a tweet yesterday, right, where it was retweet this if you think Hurts should start, and
which is so funny.
Yeah,
amazing.
And Fletcher Cox, he liked it. So essentially saying Wentz should be the starter, and he was asked about that today, and he finished his answer by saying, "My tweet is my tweet, and I stand with it." I imagine
Sheil just said the same thing basically.
Yes, but he said Carson's his best friend on the team. He's my guy. I've always had his back since day one. Jalen, he's my teammate also.
Do you think there's someone in the locker room who is offended to hear that Fletcher Cox considers Carson Wentz his best friend, as opposed to does the
only one
think
Vinny
that he
Curry
thinks he's his best friend or something?
Yeah, Vinny Curry and Fletcher are close. They came in together in 2012. They've hung out a lot.
I believe Vinny lets Fletcher borrow some of his sneakers.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah, right?
Thank you for that reference. Yes.
Is there anywhere we could read more about that?
You can read about on the Athletic.
I want to give you. Speaking of things you could read more, written by Zach. Zach had a great. We were talking about the pieces that you could read about. Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz on the Athletic today, and Zach did a really good job weaving together the entire Carson Wentz story and the way that this organization has built everything around it. And he said, I really enjoy those stories where it's like digging up all the quotes and putting the narrative together. That's what I did for the book, which was just as good a flex as you can get. And he said, and he acknowledged that was a flex. That was a big time book flex.
But no,
I recommend read that book.
Anywhere books are sold.
Holiday time.
Actually not anymore, probably. I don't know if it's in all local books.
It would probably read like science fiction to Eagles fans at this point.
Certainly if you want to know, not to get off or to stay on subject, if you want to know all the background with Wentz in that 2017 season, it's in that book. But I bring that up because you mentioned the article when I was writing it, and I was like a few hours in, and I realized that I just wrote 2 paragraphs about a week 4 game in Detroit in 2016. And I'm like, I'm way too into the weeds here. So I need to start to condense this.
Well, you do. You have the unique perspective of being there, the day Carson Wentz was drafted, the day he was introduced, the day he got his contract, his media availability at the Super Bowl. I can picture it in that little corner there, right? Off to the side there on the stairs. And so all these different, as you put it, all these different benchmarks in his career. So it was very well done.
I have a quick, funny Carson Wentz, I have a funny writing about Carson Wentz aside. And I feel bad because we should be talking about Jalen Hurts here, but we
got lots to get to. Don't worry about it.
As you brought that up. So in 2016, when the Eagles drafted him, I went out to North Dakota. I spent some time out there, and I had found out where Carson ate dinner on his last night in Fargo before going to Chicago for the draft. All right, and what my story was going to be like how Carson's leaving this cocoon. So I wanted to go to the restaurant, and I go to the restaurant, and I ask it wasn't the waitress. It was someone there. It might've been the manager. I forget. I said, do you remember where Carson sat when he came here, and the person looked at me like are you obsessed here? And then I asked what Carson ate, and
you start smelling the chairs.
Did you say you were a reporter?
I did. I
Okay,
did.
good.
But like I don't think they were used to like this level of detail
Of reporting.
That
They've never encountered a sports writer of the year before.
No, not that. But when I asked where he sat, they were a little spooked out.
Yeah, I don't blame him, but that's fair. Okay, where were we on Fletcher Cox?
Yeah, so Fletcher, we said Fletcher had his back. He's his best friend, that kind of thing. So two veteran leaders really taking his back today.
I think this is telling. I mean, this is not the case where this team as a group collectively is blaming Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even to the point of them saying like this was a fait accompli, like we understand you got to make the move. I think it was a little bit more defensive that they didn't like that the move was made. Is that how you read it as well, Zach?
I mean, I read it as Fletcher didn't. I read it as Jason Kelce like understanding why it was happening. He said when you're playing like this, you need to make a change. But I think Jason wanted to make abundantly clear today that this is not on Carson Wentz. That Carson Wentz is not the problem, and he made it sound like a big part of the problem here is not just the players but the coaching as well.
That's what really, when I saw you tweeting that out, was very interesting to me, because Jason Kelce has been trotted out for every regime to basically defend the coach. I mean, I remember it, the end of the Andy Reid era, the end of the Chip Kelly era. And so for him to kind of include that in there, I thought was very interesting. I guess we shouldn't be totally surprised given the guys who were talking, right? Fletcher Cox had that clip on the sideline with Carson Wentz, the end of his rookie year, right? I forget what did he say exactly, Zach? Did he say we're winning the Super Bowl next year or something like that?
I forget.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But he had, I remember asking Wentz or Cox about that when they actually were going to the Super Bowl. And so, they kind of went on this ride up. Fletcher Cox gets a Super Bowl ring. They both get these massive contracts. So it doesn't necessarily surprise me that Fletcher Cox isn't pining for Jalen Hurts to be out there as the starting quarterback. And really the same thing with Jason Kelce. I mean, Kelce over the years has been very honest about sort of talking about I don't know if it's the mental side, the emotional side of Wentz's journey in Philadelphia, and watching Nick Foles take over and win a Super Bowl. And then the next year watching Nick Foles take over and Wentz not having played in those playoff games. And then Wentz gets knocked out of last year's playoff game. Like I can remember vividly Jason Kelce being someone who's been asked these questions about Carson Wentz and speaking honestly, like, yeah, of course that's going to suck. We all believe in Wentz, all those different types of things. So, I guess it shouldn't be that surprising. It is interesting though, because you don't usually hear, usually I guess you hear more of the, all right, whatever Doug decides is what we're going to do type deal. And this seemed to be a little bit in the different direction.
I also wonder if I didn't take what Kelce said as like anti-coaches, right?
No.
As like putting the blame on the coaches, just that like we all share in the blame here.
Exactly.
And I also coupled with what Malcolm Jenkins said today on his Saints press conference about like the management didn't want me there. I didn't feel respected. I wonder if there is something where they realize that Doug has been put in this position, maybe unfairly, and it's not entirely his decision, but he is coaching for his job, and so he has to do this. And they maybe think that is unfair, and it's a little bit, anti-front office, I guess.
I mean, it could have even been more direct than coaching for his job. He has to do this. It could have been
right. Exactly.
You're doing this.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
It could have been very direct there. So now, did he say anything about? There are some questions in the chat. Did he mention like this would be weird for a player to say, but I don't know if he did or not. The GM or roster construction or anything like that, or it was basically players and coaches.
Right?
Yeah.
No. So
Kelce
was asked a question. Along those lines,
he was asked about the Hurts pick.
Yeah, about the Hurts pick, and he very specifically said, like, that's for the front office. I can't answer that. His comments today were much more focused on the offense, the players, and the and the coaching. But he was clear like how bad the offense is, and I respected Jason for showing that you can be honest, like without fear of saying something you shouldn't say. But everyone sees it. He's a part of it, and that's taking responsibility. I thought Jason Kelce showed a lot of leadership today, and I thought if I was his teammate, I'd be proud to be his teammate today.
Someone in the chat is saying it's funny picturing Fletcher Cox just refreshing the WIP Twitter feed.
That is the funny thing, right?
And I also it's funny, like I stand by, like my tweet is my tweet. Like he didn't even tweet anything. He just likes something.
He just likes something. Yes.
It's very funny.
Yeah. But I have a feeling that Bo will be saying like my tweet is my tweet for 3 years, the next 3 years about something.
Well, yeah, I would put the
Only if
over
Sheil
under
tweets
just
it
on this
first.
podcast of like, 45, I would say.
We also heard from Jalen Hurts today,
Mm-hmm.
Zach, and we heard from Doug Pederson. What did we learn from those guys?
What did we learn from Jalen Hurts? He's very thankful for
Oh my God. I haven't heard you that sad like all year long.
He's very thankful for this opportunity. This is what he dreams of. He did not get to tell his parents about this. Bo asked a good personal question, asking him, who's most responsible for you being here, and he mentioned his parents, his father was a coach, and Bo asked about the excitement Jalen had telling them, and Jalen said he wasn't able to. They found out. The most excited Jalen
Does that
Hurts
timeline track to you? Because we heard that Doug told them on Monday
night,
and it didn't break until Tuesday afternoon.
Maybe he didn't call to tell them. I don't know. Maybe Doug said don't tell people, right? And he adhered. I don't know. But
even Fletcher Cox said that he found out when everybody else found out.
Exactly.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird? I mean, they had meetings on Tuesday. They weren't in the building, but they had meetings.
They did have meetings on Tuesday. It's a good question. It's a good point. I mean, Doug, I think Doug was the one who had this message, who was conveying the message, so that's good. That's a good question. It is somewhat odd. Now, the most animated Jalen Hurts was when he was asked about wearing Houston Astros attire.
H-Town, yeah.
And he said he's got a bunch of Phillies stuff and Sixers stuff that he'll be wearing, but he also has to represent his hometown. And he said when he had after his touchdown, and he had his index finger and his pinky finger up on both hands, he was not doing horns up for Texas. That was H for H-Town, meaning Houston. That was the extent really that Jalen Hurts was willing to discuss about most things. He did not really go into depth.
Was to explain his his finger formation celebration post touchdown.
Yeah, he's very excited for the opportunity. He's very excited for the opportunity. That's essentially it. And Doug Pederson wants a spark. I thought the most notable thing Doug Pederson said today was that he still thinks Carson Wentz can be an exceptional quarterback. And because to me, the biggest question right now, and Bo wrote about this in his The Day After story or column, I should say, is not who's starting this week, but who's starting week 1 next year. Like, where are they going? And that was the crux of Sheil's piece today as well, because I'm of the opinion that they're going to try to fix Carson Wentz, that this offseason is going to be about building an infrastructure around Carson Wentz. I really bored Sheil here.
Yeah, he lost him.
Yeah, he
must have not read The Day After either.
to support Carson. So that's really fundamental to this. And I don't want to ramble. One quick thing. I think what this change will allow Jeffrey Lurie to do is assess whether the problem is Carson or whether the problem is bigger than Carson. If the problem is Doug, if the problem is the offense. If Jalen Hurts comes in and the offense looks much better, then I think you can deduce that the quarterback is the problem here. If Jalen Hurts comes in and the same problems are happening, then you say it's the coaching, it's the play calling, it's the talent. So at least there might be clarity to that question.
I think that's right. I think that's a huge factor here. And if we're looking to mend fences between Sheil and I, we both like the term the natural experiment, and we get this natural experiment for 4 games to see, maybe how much of it is Doug versus Carson. Now, the risk with that is overvaluing a 4-game stretch at the end of the season again, just like they did at the end of last season. But I think it will be telling. I mean, if the offense looks just as broken as it did with Carson, then okay. I mean, maybe that's one. Maybe Carson is more salvageable than we would have thought. And B, now we have to decide how much of it is Doug versus the talent. And if it's vice versa, if Jalen looks good, then okay, maybe Carson is not. Maybe he is closer to broken than we were hoping. I think those are reasonable conclusions to have.
Don't you feel like a lot of this is already decided though? I mean, Mike Sando wrote a piece on The Athletic. Again, if you haven't subscribed, I mean, theathletic.com/birdswithfriends. We're giving you 4 stories on this right now. Oh, a little sip there. Okay. But I thought it, was an interesting story. Basically, Mike Sando talked to a lot of people in the league and just kind of picked their brain about Carson Wentz. And one thing that really stood out to me in that, I don't know if you guys felt the same way, is that it seemed like every exec was basically talking about like, well, whoever the next coach is, they might want to do this. It was like a foregone conclusion there. Like, what one exec said, anybody who's going to take the head coaching job there is probably going to say Carson is salvageable. Like there's not an open coaching job there yet.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah,
there might be, and it wasn't just like one person. I mean, I'll try to look at, find some of these.
No, that was definitely the through line.
It's interesting you point that out. And that's an example probably of like being too close to the story, is that like I've been operating under the presumption that there's gonna be a different coach next year too. So when I read that, I was like, yeah, of course. But
it did stand out.
You're right.
Here's another one from a top exec says, I would advocate tearing it all down and starting over. Do you want to do that with Carson? Do you trade Carson and play Hurts for a year and see where it goes because he can be a runaround guy? It all depends who you hire as head coach. I mean, it's unbelievable. Has a Super Bowl winning head coach ever gotten less respect than this guy? I mean, he wins a Super Bowl. He gets no personnel power. They force coaching staff changes on him. Maybe now they're forcing a quarterback change on him, and everybody in the league is talking about who's going to replace this guy as the head coach at the end of the year. I mean, I agree. Like, if you ask me what's the most likely scenario, I think it is that Doug Pederson is gone after the year, but to like kind of see it here over and over, I thought was pretty interesting.
Well, and the flip side to that is the narrative seemed to also be that Howie Roseman is not going anywhere. And I think it was either in the piece or it was Mike maybe left it in the comments section that that's his sense as well. But I still am not so sure about that. I think that the people he would be talking to would be more likely to think that is the case. I think there is a presumption that Howie and Jeffrey are married to each other. And like I've said before, that's true until it's not true. And I think that, the more that Jeffrey digs into this and the more he reads and the more he, looks back on things, I think it's possible he will come to a different conclusion.
The more he reads, are you specifically talking about The Athletic?
Yes, he actually is a big fan of the article that came out last week, which you may have not read, which was the different records that could be broken this year. There were 10 records he thought that were very interesting. So,
interesting.
Yeah,
and Jalen Hurts is in Jalen Hurts' record.
Unfortunately, yes, that one's out. But Joshua Kelly caught both of his targets this week, so he's now 23 for 23.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jalen Hurts is a big fan of The Athletic, Zach. No,
maybe so.
We don't know that. Well, I think that's right about Howie Roseman. I think if you don't have information to tell you otherwise, then your assumption would be that he would be back because he's been with the organization for 21 years. We've discussed this before. He's outlasted Joe Banner, Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, others that I am forgetting right now. And That
You.
would be your assumption would be that, all right, he's going to be Jeffrey Lurie's right-hand man once again for another head coaching search. And they will find a new coach to replace Doug Pederson.
I think the one nuance to the argument is that, and I'm not absolving Howie of anything here, right? Like Howie's record is his record, but unlike coaching decisions and the big ticket personnel decisions that we discuss and that fans discuss, Jeffrey's involved in them too. Like so Jeffrey in real time is hearing the conversation and is contributing at times to that conversation. So I think that Jeffrey might view the personnel decisions a little differently than we do, because I think he sees how that sausage is made.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. And
was it copious notes?
Was it in Sando's piece?
Voluminous
notes. Was it in Sando's piece or a different piece about Jeffrey wants to be involved in the decision making, and that's why he would keep Howie, because Howie lets him do that? That
was from McLean's piece, I believe.
Oh, McLean's piece from the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing. I also don't think it's either or. Like, you could find someone else who lets you have a hand in the decision making process.
But like, for instance, he knows, like, he's in the draft room and in those meetings, and he knows, are we not taking this guy because our doctors flunked him? Are we leaning toward this guy because the coaches want him for the scheme? Right. So understandably, all this is on Howie's record. And again, I'm not absolving Howie, but Jeffrey has more information about what goes in to those particular decisions, such as like the DK Metcalf decision. It seems obvious. Why'd you take JJ Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf? Well, he was coming out with a neck injury. If your medical staff said one thing, and I'm not saying that's the case, but Jeffrey essentially would have that information.
Yeah, I think that's right. He has more information than we do. There's no doubt about that.
And coaching, that's autonomous for Doug. Like Jeffrey's not in the headset, so Jeffrey's not making the play calls, that kind of thing.
And we can get into this again if it happens. But like one of the problems is, if you fire Doug and keep Howie, how much does that cull the list of available candidates? Like, do people want to come work for Howie?
Fair point.
Does that affect your pool?
Would people have a certain serial clause in their contract that maybe other teams would offer and the Eagles wouldn't offer? Maybe they really like Magic Spoon. This episode is brought to you by Magic Spoon. As a kid, you go to the grocery store, you're picking out all those different colored cereals. I did it, certainly, with mom and dad. If I whined a little bit, they would just get it for me. They didn't want to have to put up with that. And so I would eat it. But you get older, you got to cut some of that stuff out. You can't be eating all those sugary cereals all the time. And so that's where Magic Spoon comes in. You can still have the cereal, the delicious cereal, without all the bad stuff. 0 sugar, 11 grams of protein, and only 3 net grams of carbs in each serving. So many of you have asked, and now you can finally build your very own custom variety box. I've got to do this. You can choose from the best-selling cocoa, fruity, frosted, and blueberry flavors, plus brand new flavors, including peanut butter and cinnamon. I think my variety box, I'd go a little fruity. I'd go a little cinnamon. I don't know. Maybe try a little frosted. It tastes amazing. Honestly, it's too good to be true. Keto friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low carb, and GMO free. This is what you got to do. Go to magicspoon.com/birds to build your own custom variety box and try it today. Be sure to use our promo code BIRDS at checkout to get free shipping. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. That's magicspoon.com/birds and use the code BIRDS for free shipping. We thank Magic Spoon for sponsoring the podcast.
And Sunday morning, you wake up, you have your Magic Spoon, and you're feeling good about the Eagles. You're feeling worried about the Eagles, and you want to place a bet for them or against them. Where do you do it? Well, DraftKings Sportsbook is America's top-rated sportsbook app. They're wishing you the happiest of holidays, and to kick off the season of giving, DraftKings has new promotions and odds boosts every day this week. Luckily for us sports fans, there is an abundance of action taking place this week. Football teams are in the hunt to secure their place in the playoffs, while college basketball season is just getting underway. There is no better place to get in on all the action. If you have not tried DraftKings Sportsbook yet, head to the App Store now because you don't want to miss this. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new players the chance to earn a sign-up bonus up to $1,000 when signing up using promo code TOSS. DraftKings Sportsbook has endless ways for you to bet, from live betting to betting on your favorite players. They do it all. To celebrate this weekend's UFC 256, DraftKings is giving all MMA fans who sign up now the chance to triple their winnings when placing any bet on UFC 256. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code TOSS when you sign up and get up to $1,000. That's code TOSS to get a deposit bonus up to $1,000 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only, in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Bonus comprised of first deposit bonus. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Zach, you're getting good at that.
The DraftKings ad?
The end, the stipulation.
I'm trying. I hear it on the radio and they go so fast.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah.
Now, someone asked if Marissa ever talks, so I did want to get some smoothie talk in, the important stuff before we get to everything else. I was very interested in the smoothie recipe. Now, the cacao nib I've used on like the top of an acai bowl as a topping, but you just throw those bad boys in there and blend away.
Yeah. And they blend pretty well, but it does add like a little bit of a crunch to your smoothie.
I like a little
crunch.
crunch.
I like a little. Yeah. It's like,
I like the powder too, but I like the nibs better.
Well, we've got, I might try the nibs tomorrow now that I didn't even know this was an option. So you said peanut butter, cacao nibs,
frozen banana.
Frozen banana.
Frozen
you got to
banana.
take the peel off.
Okay. Now, how much honey are we? How much honey are we talking about here?
A little, just like I just
little
pour it
sweetener
over and
Okay. And then you're doing almond milk.
And a scoop of peanut butter. Yeah, and almond milk.
What are you doing? You doing an unsweetened chocolate? What kind of
unsweetened.
Unsweetened
original.
vanilla. Plain.
Original.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to go unsweetened. I mean, if you're going almond milk and not going unsweetened, like what's the point?
Yeah.
You're
I
having
actually don't like
there.
I don't like the vanilla.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's, it's not terrible, but I like the original better. So,
Chris, I just want to be clear. You like the crunchy and you like the unsweetened original. I was not looking at the comment section. I was looking at okay, so I just want to make that abundantly clear because that was an objective of mine tonight that I made sure when you spoke, you had my undivided attention.
Thank you, Zach.
Whenever you start a sentence like, I don't want to be rude or I hope I'm not disrespecting. It's like the most exciting part of the podcast. I have no idea what's going to be coming after that. All right.
It's like when he said, I don't want to go too far here, but the hubris of this organization, the hubris.
Oh yeah. That was a oldie, but a goodie.
Yeah. You were good on that.
It was about Jalen Hurts, by the way. So it all comes full circle. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about, you just said this, Zach, sometimes it's a little bit better to have a little bit of distance and not be so close. And I was thinking back to 2016, the end of the 2016 season, when there was a lot of haranguing about like Doug Pederson as a coach,
very much,
and like, what is this team doing? And I was not following the team super closely at the time. And to me, it was like, this is much ado about nothing. None of this matters. They've found their quarterback. That's the goal. The entire goal was to find the quarterback, and they've got their quarterback. That's all that matters. And now, like, who's going to be the head coach? Who's going to be the GM? All this stuff, it doesn't matter because right now they don't know who the quarterback's going to be. And that's the most important thing. So I guess I want to ask you guys, what would you do in terms of looking to figure out the 2021 quarterback? Do you think that Wentz is salvageable? Do you think there's anything Hurts can show you over these last 4 games to make you, pencil him in as the starting quarterback next year? Or would you try to, give up everything and try to draft a guy in the top 10?
Sheil?
Well, I don't think there's anything Jalen Hurts could show me in the final 4 games that made me say he's the starter in 2021.
He's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it's not complex math, but in my piece, and I did this during the draft time too, that if you look at day 2 quarterbacks over like a 10-year span, there's like a 29-30% chance that they're going to be either a starter or a competent backup. And so like, I think a lot of the national conversation right now, maybe locally also, is like, all right, Jalen Hurts, they're going to Jalen Hurts. He could be their guy for the future. I mean, maybe
Jalen Hurts is almost definitely going to be bad.
Well, I think that would be going a little far. Yeah.
As a starting quarterback, I think
well, it's like
there's
I said,
a 70% chance he's going to be bad.
Yeah.
But if your expectation is that he becomes the franchise quarterback, your expectations are off, in my opinion.
Right. Now that's, they're rolling the dice with a 5% chance that that's the case, but that's unlikely.
Yeah, so I would now. Who am I in this situation? Am I new GM?
You're Jeffrey.
Am I Howie Roseman? Well, am I? So I'm able to just like clean house.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that is probably what I would do. I would view this as sort of a way to start fresh, and then once I hire my new people, I wouldn't hire them based on can you fix Carson Wentz? Can you not? I mean, obviously that would be part of the interview process, but I would hire them, and then I would say, what do you think? Because here's the thing. The problem is you can't upgrade the personnel around Carson Wentz for 2021 with your cap situation. I mean,
marginally, right. Yeah.
You just don't have that flexibility. Yeah. You could draft a receiver in the first round, maybe you add someone else, but it's not going to be like this completely different surrounding talent around him. So, I would want to know from the coach. I mean, there are coaches out there. Like if I had I don't know, pick whoever your favorite play caller is. Like, let's say there's like an Andy Reid-ish type guy or a Sean Payton-ish.
Mine's Marty Morningweg.
Okay. Or a Sean Payton-ish type guy out there who you just are like, this person is a great offensive mind. And I think that is what they would probably want to lean towards in their head coach. I would say, what do you think? You've watched him on film, watch all his games for over the last 4 years. Can we fix this guy? Is it salvageable? What kind of scheme would we run? How would we do it? How do we work on his mechanics? How do we stop him from fumbling? How do we get him to not develop these bad habits in the pocket? And you kind of see what they say. I don't think it's a crazy idea to bring in new people and say, let's keep it going with Carson Wentz. I mean, you've made a big commitment to him. His floor prior to this year, again, you're talking about a guy who when he wasn't great, he was like around the 10th or 12th best quarterback in the NFL. And so that's worth something, because if you have a great schemer, look at like the Bo's boy, Sean McVay with Jared Goff. I mean, no one believes Jared Goff is a great quarterback. They're, I think, 6th, 7th in DVOA this year.
Less might, but yeah.
Yeah, right. He was throwing the ball like 3.5 yards a pass last game, and he threw for 351 yards. And so there are, I'm not saying you got to go to that extent with Carson Wentz, but yes, coaching matters, surrounding talent matters. And so I would look at that as a possibility. Now, if it felt like whoever I'm hiring, the coach and the GM said, you know what, it's possible, I don't know that it's likely, and our scouts are saying, hey, we love whoever, Zach Wilson, and you ended up getting like the 3rd pick in the draft. I mean, we don't know where they're going to pick. That's the other thing. I mean, they could be really high if they lose out here. And so if you have a chance to get that guy,
just like some of our listeners.
Yeah. If you have a chance to,
it's a good one. Dynamite dropping.
If you're high, please let us know in the chat. But if you see that guy, then I think you do explore the trade market, because then you're not committed financially to Carson Wentz beyond 2021. Obviously, you have to eat a lot of dead money, but he's owed that $15 million guaranteed in 2022. And I'm sure we can get into the conversation which Bo wrote about, and which we've discussed previously about the compensation, which I think is like a really, really interesting conversation. But if the compensation met your demands or what you were looking for, then yes, I would consider going that route, drafting a quarterback, going into 2022 with the new guy and Jalen Hurts, and kind of starting anew.
And the complication is, if you're going to trade in this offseason, you probably have to do it right away. You got to do it in those first 3 days of the new league year. So that complicates things. Like if you're picking at 6 or something like that, you don't know that you're going to be able to get the quarterback you want. And so is it worth rolling the dice, thinking maybe you can move up, or you're hoping that one of those guys is going to fall and just giving up on Carson? That's a pretty ballsy thing to do. So
Well,
I think the most likely thing is that they bring back Carson, and boy, is it going to be awkward with Carson and Jalen Hurts again, because I think it's pretty fair to say that we all get the sense that that's not like the rosiest relationship between two guys. But go ahead, Zach.
I just don't think they know each other well. Like that, no. It's a weird.
Yeah, but I also don't think they've tried to get to know each other.
Fair.
It's not uncommon, right?
Yeah, that's not.
Kind of happens. That happens a lot. That happens
and that's
a lot.
Again, like all these things that the Eagles invited. That's exactly like they didn't draft Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts was going to be happy to be a backup. The guy transferred because he didn't want to be a backup anymore.
I thought people were kind of poking fun at, I think it was the Jay Glazer report that, drafting Jalen Hurts ruined Carson Wentz's confidence. And I agree that's a step too far, but I don't think you just dismiss those dynamics. This is a quarterback who there were, anonymous, teammates kind of calling him out a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He has not had the easiest stretch, and now you're struggling, and you brought in a guy in the second round who feels like he's the man and clearly feels like he can go in there and play a lot better than you at every turn. And he's getting mixed in, and the coach is getting asked every week about why don't you mix this guy in more? Those things absolutely could have an effect on a guy. I don't think that makes him like soft or mentally weak. I don't think that's the number one reason at all for why he's playing this way. But is it a factor that when you're Howie Roseman and the staff, you have to say, this guy has kind of had a rough go here for a few years. Yeah. Maybe this wouldn't be the best thing to add to the locker room. Yeah, that is absolutely. We talked about that the night that they drafted him, and that is absolutely something you would have to think about.
And I've seen the comparison to Aaron Rodgers with Jordan Love, which I think is totally an unfair comparison for two reasons. One, because, Aaron Rodgers is already one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And two, because like the Packers do actually need to be thinking about an Aaron Rodgers succession plan. The Eagles did not need to be thinking about replacing Carson Wentz. It's not they threw this.
They just signed him.
Right. They just signed him. They threw this monkey wrench in of their own volition.
Also, you brought up the Jordan Love thing. It's interesting that the reaction of both players was like entirely different. The public reaction. Aaron Rodgers was honest. Like, why would you do this? I guess this means I'm not finishing my career with the Packers. Whereas the quote that in the first time he spoke, the quote Carson said was, "If I started doubting Howie now, I'd be doubting myself, because when I signed that contract."
It's a good line, but
and I do want to get back. I do want to get back to this because there was something from Sheil's piece after the draft that I had a question on. But
you've been holding it in for 6 months.
Wow. No, I was reading it last night, and I actually had to change a line in my story because I reread that. But anyways, to answer Bo's question, I think they're going. I think the most likely option, and in my opinion, probably the best option, would be to try to fix Carson, try to change the infrastructure around him. Now I'll get to the draft thing, but the notion that you would go with Jalen Hurts over Carson, I this is going to sound like a flex, but I was on radio this morning. Okay. I don't mean that as a flex. And I said that if I had to guess whether
what show?
The Fanatic. I was on with Bob Cooney.
I was on Oklahoma City radio this afternoon. They gave me some tips on talking to Jalen Hurts. That was helpful.
Oh, nice. I want to hear those tips.
The guy's a listener. Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about that, but
flex. Okay.
But so I was I said if I had to guess whether Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts has a better chance of being a top 10 quarterback, I would say Carson Wentz. And I didn't think that, and so 97.5 took that quote and put it on Twitter with my.
Wait a second, did Fletcher Cox like it?
Fletcher did not like it.
You retweeted.
That's a good one. I was on the phone with somebody, and I got off the phone. And all of a sudden, like I open Twitter and there's all these notifications.
Oh,
and
that's the flex. That's
the
flex.
That's
coming.
That's the NBA. That's the NBA to NBA media flex. Oh, you people! I've called Bo out for this. Oh, you people in my mentions. Jeez, would you? But anyway, I know.
No, my point. Yeah, I'm not trying to say it as a flex. I'm trying to say is when I said that, it didn't occur to me that that was a statement that was like ludicrous or controversial or what could you be thinking?
Yeah.
But that's the way it was interpreted. And like I said on the podcast the other night, and as Mike Sando wrote, like I think the view elsewhere is a lot different about Carson Wentz, that it might be here because we see him all the time and just because of the way this is going. And I think the view of Jalen Hurts might be inflated because he's the backup and he does some different things. But I think that Carson at 28 years old, he's under contract with the skill set he has. If you can figure out a way to fix him, then that's the best option. Now, that being said, if you have the 5th pick in the draft, okay, and let's say the top 4 in whatever order are the Jets, the Jags, the Bengals, and the Chargers, and unless the Bengals and Chargers trade, which is possible,
right?
They're not taking a quarterback. So you have the chance to get the 3rd best quarterback in the draft there. That's
a very great point. Yeah, no, you're well. Yeah,
Cowboys
no, but you
as well.
But you would have to be worried about a
team jumping up and trading.
Yeah.
But there are essentially 4 guys who are potential top 10 picks, and Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, and Trey Lance. And
Lawrence Fields Wilson sounds like an old time poet, like a novelist.
Yeah, and look, I'm not Dane Brugler. Dane Brugler had Zach Wilson number 2, which I found a bit surprising, because I think highly.
There's a good chance Zach Wilson and I are not going to get along.
Why not? Why not?
There's a comment about that in the chat already.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
What?
I just went down the rabbit hole.
I think we probably voted different ways.
I mean, is there like evidence for this or no?
I think there is. Yeah, I think it is a known thing.
Oh God! Then please, the love of our sanity, please do not draft Zach Wilson, Eagles. We will do anything.
But my point is if you have conviction about any of those guys, then that's the better option, because how often are you going to be drafting in the top 10, and how often are you doing it in a year when it's considered a deep quarterback class? So that if you have conviction in these guys, then you do it, but you don't force it. But I guess long answer short, I think they go Carson next year, week 1. With a different coach.
I think that is like if we're betting our turkeys, we're spreading our turkeys. I think we would all have the likeliest scenario as Wentz as the week 1 quarterback next year. But what like if you just push it down the line, the toxic situation they have created by the Hurts pick, like let's just fast forward and say they're both back next year. All of a sudden you've got a quarterback competition in the summer, and you've probably got, your Fletcher Cox veterans thinking it should go one way, and your Jalen Reagor young guys thinking it should go another way. Like, obviously there are going to be dynamics like that in any locker room, and that's the coach's job to figure that out. But like, it didn't have to be that way.
Well, here's the other thing is that if let's say you do go this route and you say, all right, we're going to give it a shot with Wentz in 2021. If he stinks again, or if he gets benched, or if he gets injured,
there goes
now he's guaranteed $15 million the following year, and now his trade value. Now teams are saying we have 2 years of this guy being terrible. We're not trading anything for him. Are you crazy? And so it is a very very difficult situation where you really are going to have to, I think, lean on whoever is running the show and kind of just put your. I don't know if you ask for a percentage of maybe they'll do the turkey game. Hey, new coach. I don't know who's gonna be the new coach. I don't know.
Brian Daboll.
Brian.
If Howie stays, it's Brian Daboll.
I would rather have Arthur Smith, but
Brian Daboll has the same agent and Arthur Smith doesn't. So
hey, Brian Daboll. How many turkeys that Carson Wentz is a top 5 quarterback next year? How many turkeys that he's a top 15 quarterback? How many turkeys that he repeats what you have here? And you can have a number in your head of what you need to hear, of whether you keep him or trade him. I mean, it sounds funny. That's kind of like the conversation
Right.
they are going to.
And that's probably why, what you just said, like, that's probably why if you get the offer, like, let's say it's a 2022 first round pick and a 2021 mid round pick that has conditions to be even higher, or I guess vice versa. Let's say it's a reasonable package. I think you probably got to take it because the downside is you've got a total sunk cost.
All right. Well, before we
the
get
upside
to that,
though, the upside though is,
of course, the upside is you have a top 10,
you have a top 10
top 12
quarterback.
quarterback.
Exactly.
But
Top 12 quarterback.
before we get to that hypothetical, we do have some. We talked about morning shows. We talked about Birds with Friends hosts. Marissa, do we have a little audio we can play?
Back in the same capacity, maybe there's some face-saving move where they're bringing in an entirely different new coaching staff or an entirely different draft day decision maker, and promoting Howie Roseman with sort of a demotion out of responsibility. But I would be shocked if everybody comes back.
Great stuff from Bo Wulf. Bo, I hope we can get you on again soon. You're terrific. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Bo Wulf. That was some really intriguing stuff, though.
such odd clips.
Z-Burn. Well, it was a long interview. I had the whole thing, recorded on my phone in kind of Bobo fashion. And so like 5 minutes before the show, I had to just message it to Marissa really quick. But, I thought the ending, Zach, right? That was worth it. I mean, Angelo
that is huge. Like Angelo is that's the guy. Like if you're getting that from Angelo, first off, I hope your subs went up after that appearance. Like that gets people.
Well, I feel like everybody's already taken their good sub deal, so now they're waiting for the next deal. That's part of our dynamic right now.
Yeah, I thought that was a good hit. Bo was bringing it. I didn't get this. I don't know if it was my phone. I don't think my volume was up. But Zach, were you able to listen to that hit or no?
Parts of it, yes.
Okay, yeah. See, I mean, I even listened. He yells at me for I didn't read a record thing in time. I'm recording morning show audio. This is what my dad does for me, so he can send to the family.
just to make me look bad, probably.
Well, listen, motivation is off to the side. It's the actions that matter. Bo started it with the Davion Taylor joke, Zach, which is just classic. Like, I don't care who the audience is or what we're talking about. I'm just going to do what I always do.
I would love to see Keith Jones's face in that situation.
Which is exactly what my tweet was of your Bills thing today. Like a tweet for 8 people, and poor Mike Sandoz trying to tell me that you already tweeted it. Like
Connor Hughes, you got him with that one. But yeah, I forget what Angelo's introduction was, but the first thing Bo said on the air I don't know what their ratings are. I mean, their ratings are very high, right? It's a very popular show.
Yeah.
Bo's first line. Bo, had you been on the morning show before?
I have been on a couple times.
Oh, okay. Well, his first line on this one was, I thought we were going to talk about Davion Taylor. That is how he introduced himself.
I thought that was a good opening bit.
Did you test that one out on Rachel before the show? Or
no, I didn't need to. I knew it was dynamite right away.
There you go.
Now, Chris Domingo, who is a loyal Athletic subscriber, DFOP, he says he will buy 50 Athletic subscriptions if Howie Roseman is fired.
I'm glad you caught that because I meant to say it earlier. We should hold him to that.
Because he's a DFOP, so we interact. So remind me, Marissa, I've got to put this on you, on the producer. This is like the screen pass thing. If Howie Roseman ends up getting fired, remind me that there was someone who said they would buy 50 Athletic subscriptions.
I'm going to send an email to myself right now, so I have it saved.
It sounds like for Chris Domingo, Howie Roseman getting fired might be one of the only solutions to a problem that many people have, and it can be awkward or embarrassing to talk about erectile dysfunction. Usually we brush it off or blame ourselves. But Roman is here to get you the advice you want and the help you need with no shame. How often do you use excuses like, I had a long day at work, or the Eagles are 31st in pass DVOA, or I'm just not feeling it? It isn't easy to talk about erectile dysfunction, but Roman makes it easy to discuss and treat ED. With Roman, You can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. And I mean, let's be honest, we all want to be in our own homes right now. Nobody wants to be going out. A healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship you real medicine with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/BWF and complete an online visit. Just go to getroman.com/BWF to get $15 off your first order of ED treatment, a free online visit, and free 2-day shipping. That's getroman.com/BWF for $15 off your first order of ED treatment. getroman.com/BWF.
When you say "let's be honest" in the middle of a Roman ad, I gotta say I didn't know what was coming next there. But I'm glad you brought it all together. Now there's a question about the protein, Marissa. You got any whey protein in that bad boy?
I don't add it, but I did see a comment about spinach, and I do that sometimes because you don't taste it.
No, great.
Oh,
That's the only way to eat the spinach.
That's how I'm getting my greens. And then I'll mix it, and then I'll put in more spinach because you've got more room to spare. So
spinach flex! I did not see that coming today.
Yeah.
I still want your answer on the seitan. You guys eat seitan or what?
No, is that how it's pronounced?
Seitan?
Yeah, I thought it was that, but I mean,
I remember that it was a very easy final word on the last spelling bee. But I think it's good.
I'll do it on occasion.
It takes the flavor well.
Fan.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay.
I think it's pretty good. Okay.
What else we got?
Zach, what'd you guys have for dinner tonight, Zach?
I had shrimp and over salad. Yeah.
Nice.
So
I feel like you guys do shrimp a lot. Good for you.
We get the bag of frozen.
That frozen bag? Oh yeah, that's like all
Yeah.
It's all the shrimp that there's available in Philadelphia right now. It's that frozen bag of shrimp. That jumbo shrimp.
Let's do a little I can't believe I'm the one recommending this, but let's do a little turkeys to the kingdom about because this is really all anybody cares about. Well, I get they care about Hurts, but Howie, let's just do it with the coach and the GM. Howie back, Doug gone. Wait, no, we didn't. We did this last episode.
I believe we did this. Yeah.
I think we actually did this exact same thing.
See what happens.
Well, wait. So can I pick up the conversation real quick? Because
go ahead, please do.
I wanted to ask, Sheil and Bo. But
I mean, this is Sheil now bringing the bit back and just taking my thing and repurposing it again.
Oh, there you go.
I respect that.
Okay.
So I went back to read. I was reading a lot of things, and Sheil.
One of these days, Zach is gonna be the one to pull out a clip of one of us saying something dumb, and I think it's really gonna be dynamite.
So Sheil after the draft, essentially, I mean, this wasn't quite Brandon Graham at Super Bowl level, but essentially like predicted that this scenario could occur, right? In his 10 thoughts or however many thoughts it was, you said that what if the Eagles are what's that?
All right, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it must just be like I don't, maybe Bo put the person up to this, but someone did tweet at me yesterday and said 10 things is Ruben Frank's.
I saw that. Yes.
I said 10 things. I can't freaking do 10. I can't tweet out Justin Jefferson records or tweet 10 things, or I don't have a mind of my own. I mean, really, you people are a bunch of. All right, anyway, exactly.
Yeah,
all right, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Sheil. So at this point was, what does this say about what the Eagles think about Carson Wentz? Like, they're saying this is insurance and whatnot, but what if there are doubts about Carson Wentz? And what if this is a way to protect them from, I think you said there's an alternative universe where like Carson is horrible, the offense stinks and they turn to Jalen Hurts, right?
Yeah.
You wrote something like that. And I thought that was fascinating to read. And the way I said I had to change my story is like, I think it was 1:15 a.m. last night. I adjusted a line that essentially said, like the Eagles never expected this to happen. And then I added in there, or at least didn't allow themselves to admit it, or something like that, because I wanted to open up the possibility that maybe in the back of their minds, there was this sliver of doubt that Carson was declining. I personally think that they didn't account for this option. I've said that on this pod many times, that I think they only viewed Carson excelling or Carson being injured. They didn't see Carson being horrible, but it sounded like you saw this could be a possibility.
But we all talked about it. We didn't think this was going to happen. Sorry. Like Carson Wentz's regression is insane. Like nobody saw that coming, but to not think that an eventual quarterback controversy was an end road here was either dumb or naive. I mean, that's always going to be on the table when you draft that guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't think they deserve credit, nor do I deserve credit for envisioning this specific scenario. I thought, and especially them sort of given, the reporting or what we've learned or have whatever you want to say since then, is I don't think that was the primary reason why they drafted Jalen Hurts. I thought there were a couple of scenarios that were kind of, I guess, in that category. One was that I thought there was the possibility that Carson Wentz gets injured, and maybe it's a 6-game stretch, maybe it's a 4-game stretch, maybe it's an 8-game stretch, and Jalen Hurts comes in and lights it up, and then all of a sudden, you do, because it's almost like the Nick Foles situation, except now this is a guy on a rookie contract. Sure. And then I thought there was a scenario where Carson Wentz plays poorly, and you had the anonymous leaks, which we've seen in the past, saying, well, Jalen Hurts is really, tearing it up in practice, and, Carson's a problem. And that hasn't happened at all. I mean, it's really, it feels like it's been quite the opposite, where I don't know that there's been any buzz at all about what Jalen Hurts has done in practice. So I don't think they foresaw this coming. I mean, a reasonable take on Carson Wentz, even if you did not think he was great going into this year, was that he would be mediocre. That was really what's so. I was reading comments.
I was hoping you were going to drop a fang.
No, no, I was not going there. But really, I mean, that was like, you would have thought the previous 2 years was the floor of Carson Wentz. That's what I thought. That, all right, maybe if it gets a little bit worse, if the circumstances get a little bit worse, all right, maybe he's like the 15th, 16th best quarterback. If he's the 15th or 16th best quarterback this year, you probably have won the NFC East. Definitely. And we're not even having this conversation. So this floor, really that game on Sunday was just like the worst of all of it coming together, where, just the slow processing, how uncomfortable he is in the pocket, whether you want to call it seeing ghosts or whatever, the hits kind of piling up and him sensing pressure that's not there, and the inaccuracy,
looking down and
looking down, the eye level dropping, as the coaching people like to tell us. So all those different things, really, I kind of feel like that might have been the last straw. I know you guys talked about that in the post-game pod, like, why now? I almost feel like that eye level dropping and that constant, he's just so uncomfortable. Really, you're putting, it's almost like putting him out of his misery. You're just putting him out there to fail. Like, there was no scenario in that game where things were going to click and he was going to figure things out. You've had 13 weeks of this, and it was just getting worse. It had reached rock bottom there. And so, maybe that was why in that situation they decided, let's make a change.
And that's why there are staunch Wentz defenders who, I think our listeners or we get as commenters sometimes, who are vociferous in, it's not Carson's fault, it's the offensive line's fault, it's the coaching fault. It's not his problem, which might be true. That could definitely be true. But we are not going to see a better Carson Wentz this year. And so there's nothing to lose. You might as well see what Jalen Hurts can do. It goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. You want the information, but it just because it might not be Carson Wentz's fault doesn't mean he still needs to play these last 4 games. We've seen enough. It was not going to get better this year.
Now, do you guys? I'm fascinated by what you think. I say to you guys, Marissa, you can chime in too if you wanted.
Marissa's
but do you guys think?
Out.
Marissa's just freaking end this thing.
Yeah. Do you guys think?
I've produced 19 hours of.
Do you guys think Howie Roseman regrets the Hurts pick right now, or do you think he's proud of the Hurts pick right now?
Oh, I don't think I can't imagine he's proud of it.
He was so proud of it afterwards.
I don't know. Why would he think it's worse now than he did? Then that would mean that he thinks that
because there's a chance he gets
Hurts
fired.
really caused this. Yeah, but
if he thinks that if he misread the potential effect it could have on Carson,
I don't think that was the driving factor. If Nate Sudfeld or were the backup of this team, I think Carson Wentz would have still played like crap this year. You disagree with that?
I don't know. That's the thing. I
think he would have been 90% as bad. I
can't explain how Carson Wentz went from where he was to where he is. Like I've seen it and I've written about it, but like I can't tell you from a football perspective how a player with 4-year sample size and of like Sheil mentioned, the baseline was fine, was good. Like you'll take that baseline.
And sorry, go ahead. And
like that went from that to the worst quarterback in the NFL. I don't, there's no precedent for that.
And I know that there are there are people who were like Carson Wentz was never good. This is like who he always was, which I think, it's a little bit reductive. It's not we can tell from watching him that this is a different quarterback. Whether or not
that's objectively not true. I mean, by any metric. He never played this poorly.
Well,
before.
It's like if you take out his third down and red zone success, well, guess what? You can't just take that out. Like that's part of, maybe that doesn't have a lot of stickiness year to year, but that's his full body of work. So
if you took out Bo's 2 stories that produced like thousands of subs, then
I've got nothing that's got 1,000 subs, except for ones done of the same thing.
Except for what?
I understood what he's talking about. He was saying taking how he did the Josh McCown story and other people took that model and did go well with it. That's what he was referencing.
Well, listen, everybody steals your work, we've learned.
We have learned that.
So you don't think so you don't think Howie or so you do think Howie
I don't think
he regrets it.
I don't think he plagiarized on purpose. I think it was he didn't read it, and that's what hurt. Is that just friend to friend, it just hurt my heart a little bit. That's all.
I look forward to your feedback on my N'Keal Harry post.
We'll see if I tweet something about it. And
please do. Nobody else has. Trust me. No one's read anything about it. So any bump you can provide is very welcome. And,
well, I'm not going to link it. You didn't link mine.
Deshaun Watson, N'Keal Harry, Jared Goff, any of these, feel free to just tweet those out. I don't think he regrets it because like he's in a situation where it could, it potentially looks smart now that you're starting to quit. All right, that's probably taking it a step too far, but like there's a scenario where Jalen Hurts comes in. Well, I don't think that. I mean, maybe. I don't
it's
think
possible if Jalen Hurts looks like Lamar Jackson,
right?
Well, that's what I wrote.
Lamar Jackson stunk.
I never wrote that.
In our beat back and forth, when we were talking winners and losers, I said how he could turn out to look like a winner from this pick. And it's a
3% chance, but it's possible.
I still don't like the pick. And if you think it affected Carson the way reports have indicated, then it's a disastrous pick because it messed with your franchise quarterback. But if over these next 4 games, Jalen Hurts at least looks like a replacement level quarterback, there's a lot of value in a replacement level quarterback on a rookie contract. And if that's the case, then Howie did a good job evaluating, and that's good value for a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting part of this. I don't think you want to read too much into Hurts' final 4 games, but if he does look like competent, like let's say he looks like the 20th best quarterback in the league, then I do think it's even, you can trade Wentz, because then what you can do is, let's say you get the 5th pick and the quarterback you like is not there. I mean, you could trade down, you could get more draft capital, you could buy a year, you could target a quarterback in 22. Like there's more things you could do there. I know fans probably wouldn't be thrilled with that outcome, but if you, like you said, if you can get mediocre starting quarterback play from him, that's a win.
Who's a good comp? Like
half the league.
Ryan Fitzpatrick? I don't know.
If he gives you
a free agent at the end of the year.
If he gives you Taysom Hill's last 3 games, would you take that?
No. Do I get Sean Payton with that? Do I get the Saints defense with that? No, I would not take that.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll talk about that on
like Teddy.
Friday.
I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is like maybe the level.
Oh, that would I feel like that would be pretty good.
You like Teddy?
Well, I wouldn't say I like him, but that would be a very nice. I mean, he's definitely like you're right. He's probably like the mediocre. Yeah.
I don't use. I mean, I'm trying to think of. I use Taysom Hill because they have a similar style of play,
right?
Like Taysom
and because he's basically. I know he's starting now, but before that, he was basically Taysom Hill on steroids.
True.
Sunday's game is going to be just that Spider-Man meme where they're just pointing at each other.
So here's one for you. If he's Tyrod Taylor, okay, who.
Talk about a quarterback I hate watching.
No, who's like
it's not terrible.
Who's like?
If he turns out to be Tyrod Taylor, that's a great outcome.
Like Tyrod Taylor is a replacement level quarterback in the sense that like he's been that stopgap guy in Cleveland, was that stopgap guy with the Chargers.
He can't hold on to that for like more than a week anywhere he goes
without getting stabbed.
Seems like a great guy. People do like him.
Yeah. I covered him in college. Yeah.
Big flex.
Oh, flexy.
I have a lot of stories about covering Tyrod Taylor.
Can we hear what's your best Tyrod Taylor story?
My best Tyrod Taylor story was just
Isn't it Tyrod?
What's that?
Isn't it Tyrod?
Yeah,
no, there was. Did he change that?
He pulled
only like a couple years ago.
Yeah. Who was the other guy we talked about who did that?
Robert Tonyan.
Yeah, Taylor did it like even he had done many more things in the league. This is great with these wireless. I can listen to Zach's Tyrod Taylor story while I go fill up my water.
No, I don't have. It was just that, like you talk about a quarterback controversy. Him and Sean Glennon were splitting time.
Mike Glennon's brother, right?
Yes, exactly. And Tyrod was like, if he wasn't the full-time starter, then he wanted the red shirt. And they essentially lifted the red shirt and said he was going to be the starter going forward. And they sat Sean. Tyrod was like, he was all over the place that year that I covered him, which was 2008. But he was like the ultimate winner, like just found ways to squeeze out wins. They went to the ACC championship, beat Boston College, went to the
Matt Ryan's Boston College.
No, this was the year after. Okay. And then went to the Orange Bowl. That was fun to cover, where they played against Cincinnati and
Marty Gilliard's Cincinnati.
My God,
Gilliard might have been, but Connor Barwin and Jason Kelce were both there at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember, I vividly recall that. But Tyrod's numbers were like so bad, or just so middling, I should say. But he always found a way to make clutch plays at the end of games.
All right. One thing I wanted to ask about, unless you have something pressing here, Bo.
It's a Howie thing, so just remind me about it so I don't forget. But go ahead.
Peck Nest this is from a comment here saying Peter King and Angelo fighting over Bo. So Peck Nest migrate. You get 3 job offers from the Around the NFL podcast, Peter King and NBC Sports, and Angelo in WIP. All are the same. Let's say they're all the same financially.
Roles. Like, am I writing for Peter King's site, or is it just a podcast with him?
You have a creative freedom for all of those. I mean, you can't just go in and take a nap, but what would, let's say they're all the same financially. Well, for the purpose of this exercise, like you could work remotely, or you could. That's is not a factor of where you have to live. It's just
that's a
job.
national reporter factor there, right there, right?
What's your
work remotely? Yeah, you can live wherever you want. Yeah.
What's your Peck Nest migrate?
This is for me.
Yeah, you're the one you're the one getting. I mean,
I think
Zach, Marissa are free to answer it as well. Marissa is really. I mean, I don't think they better start giving her some promotions or giving her what she wants here. Don't you get the sense she might not be long for this gig?
Oh yeah, Marissa's gonna have her own spinoff show that's gonna put us all to shame.
We need to start it in our in our feedback things. We need to start pushing her for promotion. You better keep her happy.
I want to ask one of these other shows to record before and after. She's probably saying these birds with friends people. First off, they go on for 2 hours. They talk about the team they cover for 5 minutes. They ask me way too many questions about my personal life. Yeah, so
I had an hour and 45-minute podcast yesterday with 9 people on it. So Nine.
And
This is easy.
I was telling you, Marissa, the other day after your fantastic stunt with the t-shirt reveal that you were moving merch. I way undersold it. Like this weekend, you sold so much merch, so much of the pyramid scheme t-shirt merch. It's unbelievable. She's moving products. It's fantastic.
Well, it's all going to a good cause, so it's a good thing.
Right.
So grateful for all the listeners.
I think I would say the easy call is the migrate, because I'm not a morning person. I can't get up. I can't be being on the air
doing a morning show
6 a.m. every day. That's
Seattle once a week. I filled in there
once a week. I could do every day. Okay. Although actually, I guess if it's every day, like you can get used to it. You just totally change your habits.
Used to it. All right.
But
you're migrating.
That's a tougher sell. Yeah. I don't know. Those are tough calls.
We got to answer it. What do you mean you don't know?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna nest the safest long-term job, and that would be the NFL.
Wow, working for Roger. Roger's going to be signing his checks. What a fraud.
Look at this company man right here.
Oh, my gosh. Yes. Unbelievable.
Yeah. First story. NFL did a great job with COVID.
Yes. That's a good point. I mean, that's the best chance.
Gave him the option to be on the radio, stick it to the man every day.
Seriously. You're right. That's my easiest chance
voice
to get fired.
people.
I know. I take it back, actually. I take it back.
Unbelievable.
I pecked that.
Sorry, you answered. No,
but I forgot about a factor. That's true. I would probably get fired.
Angelo asks the questions, he asks the questions that the fans want to know.
I would probably get fired.
Work for the corporation.
So that's a peck, and then I'll nest PK.
Oh man, unbelievable.
So what about you?
I'm not being offered any of these things. What are you talking about? This was for you.
Yeah.
My Howie point was going to be the scenario that you just painted. Like, we've talked a lot about the state of the Eagles roster. How it is old, bad, and expensive, and they're up against the cap. They've got a lot of work to do. Like, their path to relevancy is like an infusion of young talent. And, this goes to like Zach's point about the quick turnaround. That is not Howie's skill set. So, maybe that is a reason to think that maybe that's the path to the promotion demotion, right? You bring somebody else in to run the draft, because there's not a lot of reason to expect that like the Howie run draft is going to deliver the kind of like impact draft wise that this roster needs.
Well, I was asked by someone like how could they trade Carson and absorb that type of cap hit when they're already so tight against the cap, and basically the only way you do it is if you say by trading Carson, we're going into a complete rebuild. Like we're just stripping asset or we will eat the money this year, right? Like we'll take it on the chin this year and just worry about what our books look like in 2022, 2023. We know we're not going to be a competitive team because we don't have the resources to do it. We're going to get rid of our aging players. We're going to trade guys, and this is going to be a full rebuild with a rookie quarterback. That's the only way you can trade Carson. Like you can't trade Carson and think that you're going to have a competitive team next year, because then you just have $34 million in dead money.
Well, I do think that that's a little overstated, just because like crazy things happen in the NFL. Like, the Washington football team has a chance to go to the playoff. Like the Joe Judge led Giants has a chance to go to the playoffs. Like
Sheil said earlier. Yeah. Well,
you shouldn't expect to be like a contender, but
like Sheil said earlier that they can't get better around Carson, like in a tangible way this offseason outside of maybe hitting on a draft pick. But it's
not crazy to think that, Rager takes a jump, Fulgham takes a jump, Goddard takes a jump,
exactly.
The offensive line stays healthy.
But I'm saying
there's a scheme that actually gets people open. I don't know.
But if you're trading Carson, you're committing yourself to a complete rebuild. Is my point?
But what's a complete rebuild in the NFL? I mean, it could mean.
I think you're just committing to trying to find a different quarterback. I think that's really the whole.
I don't think it's
caboodle.
That's all it can be, because they can't get rid of any of these old people. I mean, the people they're going to get rid of, let's say Deshaun, Alshon, Ertz, Malik Jackson, like these are guys you're almost 100% getting rid of, regardless of whether you keep
The
Wentz
way
or
to
not.
open up cap space is to be extending Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox.
They don't have old guys who are good players who you can cut next year and get rid of them and get cap space and make your roster worse. They don't have those guys. That's the whole problem. That's the whole problem. They don't have any of those options. And so that's
what I'm saying. Maybe they're cutting other guys and just taking all the dead money on the chin this year. Like we'll take our hit this year, pay the dead money now, and then it's not on the books after that.
You don't need to do that. I mean, Lane Johnson's going to be back. Brandon Brooks is going to be back. Fletcher Cox is going to. Well, I mean, he's the only one who
That's what I'm saying. Maybe
he's the only one who might not be back.
Yeah.
Brandon Graham is going to be back probably. Rodney McLeod is going to be back. Like
you say, call about everyone who's not on a rookie contract, right? You know, if you're not going to be on the team in 2021, I will trade you him. I'm sorry, in 2022, I will trade you him. You know, if you're trading Carson,
they don't have that much room.
I don't think you're trading Carson under the premise that we're just going to get a better quarterback and things are better. I think you're trading Carson to fundamentally change the future of the franchise.
I think you're trading Carson because you think he is broken.
Okay. I mean,
all right, well, let's talk about this. What I wanted to ask about Bo, did you have did you already make your Howie Roseman point? Or
I did, yes.
You did. All right. Sorry,
did you have a Squall 22 thought? Do we need to do that?
Do you have a question? I did watch.
Did anything look different with Hurts? That's the only.
I thought Hurts looked a lot like his college tape looked like, which was that I do think he's a dynamic runner. He's a dynamic athlete. He's a fun runner. I think he throws well on the move. That was something I wrote in that piece that Zach referenced is that he definitely can be accurate on the move. I think when he knows where to go with the ball, he gives guys a chance. Like he's not hesitant to pull the trigger or give guys one-on-one opportunities. Even that Jalen Reagor pass, when he got rid of it, it's not like Jalen Reagor had separated and it was a no-brainer. It was kind of throw it up there. I think he has nice touch on his downfield throws. And so I think that's what you will see from this offense. I think you'll see a quarterback inclusive run game, a lot of zone read, designed quarterback runs. I think you'll see them get Jalen Hurts outside the pocket. And then I think you should see them say, hey, if you get one-on-one on the outside, go ahead and let it rip. And don't worry about, going through 2-3 progressions that, take a look. If it looks like a muddy picture, if it's not there, what you thought was going to be there, go ahead, take off and scramble. So I think that's what you'll see from Hurts. I thought you saw some of that. I didn't really buy the whole, he was going up against a soft zone type thing. I mean, the throw to Jalen Reagor, that's one-on-one against Kevin King on the outside.
And he pulled the trigger right away at the top of the drop, which is not something we've seen Carson do.
Right. Zach Ertz was wide open. That wasn't like necessarily a soft zone. Like that was like a zone blitz, I think, where Zadarius Smith was dropping Greg Ward. I mean, that's, a design play where he's kind of rolling to his right and Greg Ward comes across the field there on an over route. Yeah. So I thought that was a little overblown. So we'll see. I mean, if nothing else, it adds a little bit of juice, right? It gives you a reason to kind of watch and see what happens in this game. My question was going to be about Carson Wentz, because this, I think, is the most, and maybe we can end on this. It's already past 9:30 here, but the compensation question, I think, is like the most interesting thing about this, because it's normally with these things, you can look at, all right, here were the guys who were traded. This is what I do when I big flex here, have to do trade grades. I mean, really, it's a great honor. But when I look at those and I say, all right, well,
those get subs.
Yeah. Well, I look at what did this team give up?
Look at him move right past that. They do get subs.
What did previous teams give up for a similar thing? But this is like, pretty much unprecedented. Like 28-year-old quarterback coming off a season as one of the league's worst quarterbacks, who has been much better in the there's like so many variables. You could easily tell yourself, watch this offense on film. They suck. They're not doing anything to help him. You could go the Louis Riddick route on national TV and say, look at the supporting cast around him. Look at all the errors they've made in personnel. He's only 28. I mean, yeah, we can get this guy going. We'll easily get, top 15 quarterback play out of him. And so, then on the other hand, this is a rare time where sort of quarterback supply to a degree has outweighed demand.
I was going to ask you guys this question. Yeah.
Cam Newton gets $1.5 million. Jameis Winston is a backup this year. Next year, the free agent class isn't great, but Matthew Stafford could become available. Jimmy Garoppolo could become available.
Sam
Darnold. So
Cam
there
Newton
are
is a
like
free agent.
different types of options. So what, let's say water gun to your midsection. They decide we do want to trade him. I guess you can name a team if you want to, but what
Colts.
do you think the Eagles would get back for him in a trade if you had to say right now?
I think a first.
Really?
I think a second that can turn into a first.
Or that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think a first or a
something like that. But there's this perception that like you're going to have to pay to get rid of him.
I don't think that.
Nonsense.
They wouldn't do. And second of all, it's nonsense.
Defeat the purpose. Yeah.
Right. I mean, if there's a team who wants Carson Wentz,
I know where you're going.
They're going to value Carson Wentz.
Exactly.
Right.
No one's trading for Carson just like as an experiment. Like
this isn't an Osweiler deal, right?
Exactly.
You're not adding him as someone in the mix. Like it's not take a bunch of swings at quarterback. Yeah. It's we believe in this guy. He's our starter.
He's not your stopgap either. Yeah. Like he's not like you're not drafting his replacement. Exactly.
The contract is not bad if you view him as a starter. And you're the trading team. So I think it's really interesting. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I really have no idea. I guess if I were, I would probably lean towards what Bo said, but man, it really only takes one team. I mean, no one thought anyone was giving up a fourth for Nick Foles last year. People probably
first for Bradford. Yeah.
No one would have thought Jamal Adams was going to net 2 first-round picks. I mean,
what really, it's like it's like the initial Bradford Foles trade. I remember being called into an office and told that we're trading Nick Foles for Sam Bradford, and there's a pick. And what was it, a second round or a first
rounder?
Second round pick.
The 2016.
And it was the opposite.
And we're giving up a second round pick. And I was like, no, that can't be right. It must be the other way because he's got this crazy contract. We must be the ones getting the second round pick. That doesn't make any sense. Nobody likes Sam Bradford right now. And it was we really like Sam Bradford. We're going to pay for him. We value him as a starting quarterback. If someone's trading for Carson Wentz, they think that Carson Wentz is the answer. So I think it will be, a second that can turn or a third that can turn into a second or a first or something like that. It'll be a worthwhile draft pick. I think.
I was reading Bo's piece, another great piece, how they went from 13 to 2. And it was interesting seeing in there the quote that like everyone was like 98, 99%. The only one who was like 100% sold on Carson was Frank Reich. Do you remember that? Yeah. That's interesting.
I mean, that is like all the other ones you have to sort of talk yourselves into. I sort of like the Patriots as a possibility because they've got cap room and they're not going to have a pick at the top of the draft and they need a long-term answer. And I think they're the kind of team that could talk themselves into like, we know better than they do. We can fix this guy. He's got what we need. But the Colts, it's like, they have a team that's ready to go that doesn't have a long-term quarterback. They've got all kinds of cap room. They've got a guy who knows him and loves him. Like that is if there's a slam dunk, that's it for sure.
So I was just going to ask you, rank these three. Like I'm making you a GM or a coach, someone who has final say on this.
Well, let me say this on the Colts real quick. Okay. The interesting thing about the Colts is like they basically have to spend. Or they're going to spend like $20+ million on a quarterback next offseason. They have Jacob Eason on the roster. I mean, they have nobody else on. So it's either bring Phillip Rivers back. Phillip Rivers made $25 million this year. Like, for whatever you think about Carson Wentz, his age and his upside is going to be a lot higher than Phillip Rivers at 39 years old. So it's like, if you're them, you say, would we rather pay? Maybe it goes down to $21 million on a 1-year deal with Rivers, or, I mean, you do get the 4 years with Carson Wentz. I mean, there's upside.
It's a 2-year deal with 2 years.
2 years are guaranteed,
exactly.
But there are 2 more years. Right. So if it works out, then you're getting like a bargain if you really believe it's going to work out for 4 years. Now, obviously, you would have to give something up there, so you'd have to determine that. But that, to me, is why they are the most interesting team. Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm making you guys the person with final say, whether it's a GM or coach. You're trading for a quarterback, so take away the free agents and take away the draft. You're trading for a quarterback. I come to you and I say you can have Sam Darnold, Matthew Stafford, or Carson Wentz. Who are you taking?
What kind of team do I have? Like, am I ready to win right now? Oh, okay. Bo, what?
We lost him.
Wait, what's Marissa doing? Marissa's up to something.
No.
I thought it says Marissa sharing computer sound.
Oh.
Yeah, you got a drop for us?
No, how did that start?
Oh, I don't know. I thought that was you. I thought you and Zach were plotting something.
Maybe I never turned it off from before.
Okay.
No.
That could have, if you were like listening to another podcast or something, that could have, really. Zach, can you hear us now?
I can. The AirPods have been running out of juice. So
what kind of team are we, Zach?
You are not like a playoff team, but a playoff hopeful team.
Like we're the Broncos.
Exactly. Yes, you're the Broncos.
I think the Broncos should be high on this list for Carson Wentz. I mean,
because he's tall.
Find out when John Elway, maybe he's had I don't know. What do you think he drinks there? A couple Coors Lights. Doesn't he have his own restaurant or something?
Yeah.
I feel like he's like he's
bourbon man,
a Scotch in one hand and a Coors Light in the other.
Yeah, I mean, I would really, it's like wait till he's had a couple, and I would just call him every day at the same time whenever he's whenever he's hit. But I mean, they are a team that does fit that description. If they got a quarterback who was good, they would be a really interesting team next year.
They need an offensive coordinator, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Who's preferably not
half dead
to sleep. Yeah.
I was going to say Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah,
that was a little harsher than where I went, but I won't say I disagree with that.
You see, but to me, I think Stafford might be more interesting to teams than Carson.
I think he will be. People love Stafford, even though I think it's a little overstated. But yeah, go ahead.
I agree with that. Yeah, really.
Yeah. So
can we lift up your team?
Can we
for
be
once?
done with Matt Stafford? Yeah.
But I would be intrigued.
Remember when Andy Benoit was saying he was better than Russell Wilson, last year? Come on.
I would be intrigued by. I would be intrigued by Sam Darnold, 23 years old. You get him for the 4th year of the rookie contract, and then the 5th year option. If and you can see why it hasn't worked. You can say he has a lot of talent, and it's the product of bad coaching.
I would rather have Wentz than Darnold. I think. I think Darnold is you're bringing him in to compete. Like you're bringing in Darnold to compete with Jalen Hurts or whoever else. I don't think I wouldn't feel comfortable bringing in Darnold expecting him to be my quarterback of the future. Whereas if I'm Frank Reich and I have some familiarity with Carson Wentz, then I think I can talk myself into him being my quarterback.
I think if it were short term and the compensation's the same, I would go Stafford, Wentz, Darnold. If I was like, you know what, we want this person to be our quarterback for a longer period of time, and we're not winning a Super Bowl anytime soon anyway.
Yeah, the Panthers.
You could probably talk yourself into Wentz over Stafford, but Stafford does give you that baseline of he's never had a season as basically as bad as Carson Wentz has had this year, aside from, I'm looking at his rookie year. Wow, his rookie year was terrible. But yes, anyway, since then, he's had like a decade's worth of whatever you would call mediocre to above average play.
And obviously it also depends on whether the state your team plays in is, being very oppressive to the family members of the team. I don't know. Are there mask mandates or not?
I know there's something there. I can't say I totally follow. So
I get it.
For the course, as they say.
He's ripping on Matthew Stafford's wife.
Yeah, right I got that. Yeah, no, I understand that part.
You're ripping on a quarterback's wife right now.
I didn't say anything of the sort.
I like this call out.
I mean, all I'm saying is if people are going to make their opinions public, then they get to be
fair point
brought back up. It's not my fault.
All right.
Nobody hacked into her phone.
Yeah. If that's the case, this show can cause us a lot of damage one day. So this
already has
show in general.
All right. See you guys.
All right, Zach, what's next? We're still going to have a pod on Friday, right?
Yeah. We'll see you guys in about 36 hours. We have a live show 11:30 Friday. I mean, it's a fairly typical week with the Eagles, except they have a new quarterback. The injuries. The one thing I'll say to monitor is Jason Peters and Alshon Jeffrey. I'm glad Bo followed up on this today.
Yeah, that was
Doug
weird.
Gave Doug gave a cryptic message that there could be another change on the offensive line
out of nowhere. It was very bizarre.
Exactly. And so Bo asked, and Boaz also asked about Alshon. He says he needs to see their health this week. Both were on the injury report, but pay attention to their status.
Like there's an injury or something.
Like
on
you're gonna look at
offensive
Alshon's health and like, you're how old?
Yeah.
And then like, oh, he's gone.
He's a calf injury, Alshon. So
great.
I thought Isaac Seumalo was terrible in this game.
Yeah, what happened there?
I don't know. That was one of my film notes. I'm like, this guy's getting crushed.
Yeah, that's tough.
All over
He's the one guy they need. Like,
yeah.
Do you think Mailata was okay? We got to ask about him.
Okay. Yeah. I don't,
the grades are like way too high. It's very silly.
No,
I
don't. I don't know. Yeah. I don't think he was great. I thought he was fine. He is fun to like move when you watch him move in space. You're just like, all right, you can see it. I can see how an offensive line coach would just like watch him and be like, oh baby, I'm going to mold this guy into a Hall of Famer, which anyway,
I don't think you never see mistakes of like, physical mistakes, right? It's like it's mental mistakes or it's a technique mistake. Like,
yeah, I would be fine. I think if you went into next year with Mailata as your starting left tackle, you could expect, at the least like top 15 to 20 left tackle play from him with an upside for much more.
Right.
I think he could be like really high,
and to Zach's point before, that's the one guy who I would trade is Dillard.
I thought they were going to say, what are you going to get for Dillard?
You get a third for Dillard, maybe? I don't know. Some sucker?
Hey, Elway, we'll throw in Dillard.
Change the conditions. We'll give you Dillard. All right. Well, thanks to everybody for hanging in with this.
Your reviews in. Don't forget to get those. Is this the week I'm picking 2 winners?
Yes,
I think I am.
Yeah.
All right. So Friday, I'm picking 2 winners.
And they take a while to propagate those Apple reviews. So you
get them in right
soon.
now.
Yeah.
We had a reader in the chat mention that he already got the Pastaficios.
We had the tweet. I hope it was the same guy who tweeted. That was a great tweet. Yeah.
I've been mailing those.
He stands by the tweet.
Boys out.
Tweeted what he tweeted, and he stands by it.
Leave your review, Apple Podcast, and then Marissa will be picking 2 for us on Friday.
And remember to order your Birds with Friends merchandise before.
Yeah, you should put the link in the chat here. Should I do that?
I was gonna do that, and I don't know if you can post links in here.
Just go to TeePublic and search for Birds with Friends, or Google Birds with Friends TeePublic. All right, so that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. Thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks to the commenters. Thanks to Marissa, Zach, and Sheil for their dynamite work tonight. We'll be back on Friday at 11:30 and on your feeds whenever you update them. For all of the crew, all of the coworkers, I'm Bo, and as always, we love you.